First law of Trumpodynamics. Every action is met with a very not equal overreaction.
These pardons are sick. They are offensive. They are un-American.
This is one of the most egregious, despicable acts in American history.
You know, I should have taken that class. And not majored in submissive liberal crying 101.
Jon Stewart just destroyed MSNBC Live on TV by exposing their shameless double standards. He called them out for obsessively bashing Trump while blindly defending Biden's every blunder. From fake outrage to biased reporting, Stewart ripped through their performative journalism, and the internet absolutely exploded.
If there's one critique of the media from the right that I do agree with, is the moralizing nature. Like, there is no condescension and moralizing on Fox. It's people on a couch asking questions. Are you worried about how many terrorists are coming in on the border? Do you ever worry about that? Whereas if you turn on MSE sometimes, you're like, it's like birds descending, you know, at sea on a tuna boat going, that's factually incorrect.
Jon Stewart, the same guy who's spent decades roasting conservatives like it's a daily cardio routine, just flipped the mic on his own side. And no, this wasn't a little slap on the wrist. It was a full-on, Jon Stewart-branded sarcastic teardown of MSNBC, live and loud. He didn't just poke fun, he dragged them. And the moment that clip dropped, you could practically hear MSNBC execs choking on their soy lattes. Within 24 hours, that clip racked up millions of views. Twitter renamed the day, Jon Turns on MSNBC. Reddit was melting. Threads were frothing.
Perhaps if we limit the coverage to the issues at hand and try not to create an all-encompassing spectacle of the most banal of details, perhaps that would help.
Arriving at this intersection of American history with defiance.
The brilliant juxtaposing of the gravitas of the moment with simple traffic terms was... He arrived at the intersection of American history where he put a quarter in the parking meter of destiny.
Now let's get one thing straight. He wasn't suddenly wearing a MAGA hat or handing Trump a bouquet. This wasn't about loving Trump. It was about hating hypocrisy. Stewart called out the performative, holier-than-thou outrage machine that MSNBC has become. The tone, the delivery, the way they act, like they're not just giving you news, but preaching moral doctrine. Stewart said nope. He described it like being attacked by seagulls at a tuna boat, but instead of fish guts, they're dropping factually incorrect every 5 seconds. And I'm not gonna lie, that metaphor might have been too generous.
Live pictures in New York City of Donald Trump's motorcade.
It's about a 20-minute drive.
He's heading down the FDR to the Manhattan courthouse.
Arriving at this intersection of American history.
Seriously, are we gonna follow this guy to court every day? Are you trying to make this OJ? It's not a chase.
Now here's where it gets really funny, because Stewart didn't just stop at tone policing. Oh no, he got into the nitty-gritty of their selective outrage. He made this brilliant comparison between Fox and MSNBC. On Fox, people sit on couches and throw out vague questions. Are you worried about the border? Or, is inflation hurting families? Say what you want, but they ask things people actually think about. Meanwhile, over on MSNBC, it's like a drama class on Adderall. Everyone's shouting over each other, spitting out corrections faster than autocorrect on a glitch. Stewart literally compared it to birds descending on a boat. And honestly, that's the most polite way to describe it.
He went.
On a fascism scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being peak fascism, how would you rate Trump's first week?
You know, I would say it's not fascism. Do I not understand what fascism is? And also, if I may, and this may be petty, why are we asking someone who, at the end of January, still has his Christmas tree up?
But wait, it gets better. Stewart took a flamethrower to one of the left's favorite hysterias, the plastic straw war. Yes, that one. Trump said he wanted to bring back plastic straws. The left went nuclear. MSNBC basically made it sound like he was personally trying to choke every turtle in the Pacific. But Stewart, he flipped it. He said Trump was right. Yep, right. Because those paper straws, they disintegrate in your mouth like sad tissue paper. And it's true. Who decided we all had to chew on wet cardboard just to feel like activists?
DeepSeek sounds like what you might use it for. China's even beating us at naming shit. By the way, I do know this is bad news financially, But is anyone else somewhat excited that AI had its job replaced by AI?
Then came the punchline. Don't eat the tubes, you stupid turtles. And that was the moment liberals on Twitter collectively dropped their oat milk. Because this was Jon Stewart saying, maybe we can criticize real issues instead of pretending Trump's straw preference is a war crime.
Listen, man, this is a minor setback. We will bounce back. Russia had Sputnik, and it spurred us on to land on the moon. I'm sure it's not going to be that bad. Has Chinese AI put American AI out of a job? I mean, who knows? I'll find out.
But that wasn't even the peak. No, the real fire started when Stewart dove into what I'm calling the fascism reflex. You know that thing MSNBC does where everything Trump does is fascist? Pardon someone, fascist, fire someone, authoritarian, tie his shoes weird, coof incoming. Stewart quoted them calling Trump's pardons sick, offensive, one of the most despicable acts in American history. I mean, seriously? That's what we're calling authoritarianism now?
A scale of Mussolini to the Holocaust. I would say it's not fascism. Do I not understand what fascism is? And also, if I may, and this may be petty, why are we asking someone who, at the end of January, still has his Christmas tree up? Why are we asking him anything?
And Stewart, he didn't flinch, not one bit. He laughed at the backlash, literally laughed. He even joked about Twitter being so sensitive they'd probably cancel Labradoodles next. And let's be honest, he's not wrong. Twitter outrage is less about facts and more about who can scream the loudest with the most hashtags. But Stewart, unlike most of his colleagues, still remembers that comedy isn't supposed to be a loyalty oath. It's supposed to hold a mirror up to power, all power. Not just Republican power, but try telling that to the outrage factory.
Is it an abuse of pardon power? I don't know. But that is his constitutional power. Again, for some reason, we have given presidents the power of a king. And then we say, oh, by the way, like with that power, you're not going to get all like kingly and shit on us, right?
MSNBC just can't help itself. Every time Donald Trump sneezes, they rush to frame it as the beginning of the Fourth Reich. Jon Stewart saw it, called it out, and did what no one else on that side of the aisle seems willing to do. He actually asked, wait, is this really fascism? And you know what? He wasn't defending Trump. He was just pointing out the obvious. The media's obsession with screaming dictator at everything Trump does is getting ridiculous and exhausting.
We are facing a deluge of these executive actions, and certainly we must be prepared for those most vulnerable to the consequences of these actions. But this is all fascist argument has become almost a reflex for the left.
Now don't get it twisted. Stewart didn't get soft. He made it clear. Some of Trump's actions are, yeah, pretty questionable. But what Stewart absolutely obliterated was the overreaction, the dramatics, the breathless headlines, the Friday Night Massacre graphics, the anchors screaming, "The purge has begun," because Trump fired some inspectors general. Stewart hit pause on the hysteria and calmly pointed to the law, Title 5, Section 403. Yes, the president can fire inspectors general. It's literally in the federal code. Sorry, MSNBC, that's not a constitutional crisis. That's HR paperwork.
Forward through the entire week.
5 days into this administration, the abuse is already rampant.
Throughout the rest of the week, shredding the Constitution as he went.
And yet, when Trump exercises a power that's been sitting there since George Washington, MSNBC acts like he just rolled tanks into CNN headquarters. Stewart roasted them for that. He brought the sarcasm, the smirks, and even a literal axe on his desk for the purge. He even joked about the font being Hitler's font. Because really, that's what it feels like now. MSNBC doesn't care what Trump does. They just know how they're going to react. Full panic, 24/7. And here's the problem. When everything is fascism, nothing is. Stewart warned that this non-stop moral panic from the media will erode public trust. When you cry wolf 24 hours a day, people tune out. So when something truly dangerous actually happens, nobody cares. He called it the first law of Trumpodynamics. Every action is met with a wildly unequal overreaction. And it's true. Trump uses a pardon. MSNBC says it's the worst day in American history. No nuance, no legal breakdown, just authoritarian takeover 101.
But this is the cycle we find ourselves in. First law of Trumpodynamics. Every action is met with a very not equal overreaction, thus throwing off our ability to know when shit is actually getting real.
But here's the twist. Stewart also showed that Trump's using power the way Democrats gave it to him. Executive orders, appointments, even pushing birthright citizenship changes. All of it was done using the same tools every president uses. It wasn't a coup. It wasn't a royal edict. It went through committees, votes, and the same broken system we've all watched for decades. So when Democrats act like Trump is hijacking democracy, Stewart reminded them, no, this happened through democracy. You just don't like the outcome. And what do we get instead of actual criticism? Chuck Schumer repeating the same outrage line twice, like his brain had a software glitch. MSNBC acting like firings are literal fascism. Over-the-top language, dramatic sound bites, and zero substance. Stewart called it out. The left has become so addicted to shouting, "He's the next Hitler," that they forgot to offer actual solutions. If you're tired of media spin and ready for more unfiltered truth, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and let's keep calling out the chaos together.